Hey y'all, it's Leah. Welcome back to my series on making our ideas book. This is going to be a collection of different journal elements that we can use in future journals. So instead of just making a basic tag or pocket or whatever it is for your journal, you are going to have a collection of a ton of different ideas by the time the series is done that you can refer back to and come up with some really cool pieces for your journals. So we're making all of these out of copy paper for the most part. I don't want to waste fancy paper on doing this because this is just kind of a down and dirty, this is what it is. And I like the white copy paper because then I can write notes all over it. And so you'll see kind of how that is going to come together. So today we are going to make Flippy Flappy tags. And so I've got two examples to show you. They use two different techniques to make the flaps. And so I wanted to show you examples of both. Our prototype is going to have all of the differences in it. So that way you'll have it when you make yours. So you can see the different ways that you can put it together. So we're going to look at this one first. We'll look at the blue one first. So this is joined with just a little tiny piece of Velcro. And when you open up the flaps, you will notice that you don't see a connection here. So it's just, I'm calling this the seamless flap, and you'll understand what that means in just a little bit. These were printables that I used. So all of my examples that I'm doing are going into kind of a vintagey journal that I'm working on. That's going to be a collection. It's going to be a mishmash of authentic ephemera and printables and that kind of stuff. So I'm not being like truly authentic. So it's going to be a mishmash. And so these are just some printables that I found that I thought would fit well in that. But these I did not print with a backing on it. And so I went ahead and I covered this one with coffee dyed paper. This is another piece that I covered with piano roll paper. If you don't have any of that, definitely try to track some down because there's a ton of it on a roll and it just always gives a little extra added interest and you can still write on it. So I think that's kind of cool. And then this one, I just used an old bill that I had. This one, I'm going to still embellish some more. I haven't finished with it, but it gives you a basic idea of what the thing looks, what the tag looks like. And then notice you're not seeing any of the seams on that. And even when we flip it over to the back, we don't see the attachments because I went ahead and covered this with some coffee dyed paper. So this one, when it goes in my journal, I'll add it into a pocket or I will clip it on. So you'll probably see the back of it. And so I don't want all of the hinges to be seen. And so that's when I went ahead and covered it after I was done assembling it. So that's one example. The second example is held together with just a piece of vintage lace. And then again, these are printables that I used. These I did print with a backside on it. And so in that instance, I needed a hinge to do that because they were full sheets of paper, or they didn't have anything that I could attach to it because you'll see how I did the other ones in just a moment. So for these, I had to use a piece of paper to glue on here. This can be, I went with kind of a high contrast piece. I don't know that I would have done that again, but it's what I had cut out. And so I just went with it because I was doing this to demo for something. And so it's fine. It'll work. And so that is the piece. This one, I didn't go end to end, especially because the corners were rounded and I didn't. This one, I did go full end to end. And then this one, I didn't. It totally is up to you. At first, I was like, oh, maybe washi will work. Well, no, it doesn't because when you flip it around, the glue is on the wrong side. So that did not work. Tried that in a previous video, had to re-record. So it happens. That's how we learn. So I'm going to show you how to do both types of hinges. This one, I put a pocket on the inside. So this one, I am not going to cover the back of it, I am leaving it uncovered. So now you can see my hinges of how that's connected. And this will just go straight in my journal, how it's done like this. So it won't have a back, because I like that it's already got the pocket on the inside. So I'm not going to worry about putting it in into a pocket. So let me get that out to the side. All right, so let's get to making our prototype for today. Got all our pieces over here that we are going to need. You'll notice if you've watched some of my previous videos, I've changed two things. One thing is I am writing my notes on it beforehand. I noticed I was trying to write it at the ends of my videos, and I didn't want to take up too much time because I'm trying to keep these really short because I know people like that part. But I noticed that I was probably leaving out some information that I wanted to remember. So I figured I will, as I am making my prototype or making my pieces, I will write notes to myself. And then that way you can just pause and you can write down the notes as well. And so the second thing that I am changing is I am inking my edges, because when I was flipping through the journal the other day, when we had done like a stacked tag, the stacked pockets, and it was like paper on top of paper on top of paper, and it's hard to see the distinctions between the different pages. And so I was like, oh, well, I don't want to use different kinds of paper because I don't want to waste, again, I don't want to waste my good paper. And so I was like, well, duh, just ink the edges. And so that way you see that it's different sizes of, or different pieces of paper. So just two little things I wanted to explain to you. I'll go back and probably ink some of the edges that I can, or maybe just outline them or something, do something that I can see the differences. So, all right, so you're going to start with your base. It can be whatever you want. I just gave some examples. It could be a printable, like I did mine. It can be some cardstock. It could be a postcard that you have. It can be anything else. It doesn't even have to be oriented this way. It could be done this way, and your flaps can go this way, or they can go top and bottom. Whatever you want. That's the cool thing about journaling, is you can do whatever you want. There are no journal police that are coming. It can be any size. So I'm not giving you dimensions on this because it really doesn't matter. It's whatever you're starting with. I'm calling it a tag. Tags don't have to have cut off corners. They could have rounded corners on all four corners. They could be straight across. You could put, a tab at the top. I did ribbon on, I did a bow on one. On one, I didn't put anything. It's totally up to you. And the back, I just wrote some notes on that. Again, it can be plain, like I did one of mine. It could be covered, or you could even decorate it if you wanted to. That is up to you as well. So, let's figure out our pieces. So I'm going to do 3 flaps on this one. You do want to think about this ahead of time, because you need to, plan for, okay, where are my flaps going to go? And how do I want to do this, just to make sure you're gluing everything in the right spot. So my plan for this is, I think I'm going to go like this, and then that one will go there. And so it's kind of this little stair step thing. You decide, depends on the pieces of ephemera that you're using, or different pieces of paper, however it works for you. It doesn't have to be biggest at the back. You could, have smallest at the back and have it kind of build down or build up. It's whatever you want to do. All right, so we're going to start with this one. So again, put some notes on there. I'm going to move this to the side so you can see that without seeing that. So printable, it could be single or double-sided cardstock. It could be ephemera. It could be a die cut. If you have some of those Tim Holtz pieces, those work really well for something like this. And then again, any size that you want. Okay. And then I also made a note on the back. This one is going to be a paper hinge, and it's going to be a full-length hinge. Okay. And so I'll show you what that means. So we're going to take our piece of paper. I did go ahead and use yellow paper for this. This was part of that bill that I had used as a backing for one of the things, just so you could see the contrast in it. So when you're making your own, it's totally up to you. So I find it easiest to fold that strip in half. The width of this does not matter. As long as you can get some glue on it and it's gonna stay. I mean, it could be fairly, you know, you could probably go up to, this is a 1/4 inch. You could do an 1/8, I'm sure. I might not go less than an 1/8, just because you want to make sure it's gonna stay. Okay, so you are gonna grab your glue. You're gonna put some glue on there, and then, whoops. So this one, let's go this way. So I want my hinge to be here. So I'm just going to glue that down so that the fold is on the outside. Just make sure you're doing that. Fold needs to be on the outside. So we're just going to do that. So that way when I open it up like that, it is there. So now I've got this little hinge. Okay. And that's a little, you just want to make sure you're not seeing your hinge from the front. Okay. So then place it wherever you want it to be on your base, and then flip both pieces over, and then add glue to this. Oops. Of course that's going to happen. Add glue to this side, and then fold it over. And then we have our little hinge. Okay. And so we'll do the same thing for this one. I think we're going to go about there with that. So I'm going to flip that over so I see. So again, on this one, I wrote paper hinge and then partial length. So for this one, I'm going to show you that it doesn't have to be a full piece of paper for your hinge. So again, I'm just going to fold that in half. Put a little, whoops, paper is kind of tearing, it's kind of brittle, and that's totally fine because this is a prototype. So add that on there, and then I will look and see, just double check my placement so I get it where I want it to be. Flip the whole thing over, glue that down, and that is there. Okay, so now this one is going to be our hidden hinge. So we're assuming for these that these are double-sided papers, or they're backed with something, you know, however you do it. It's whatever you want to see is here. Okay, and we're going to assume for this one that we had a single-sided image on this side, and we did our own backing for this, because that's the only way this one is going to work, is you have to create your own backing. So the way you do the hidden hinge, which was the blue one that I showed you, is you're going to cut your backing paper 1/4 inch longer. Okay, I find that 1/4 inch is going to make it secure enough on the back. And so this was, again, some of that piano roll paper that I had. So when I was trimming it, I left this 1/4 inch tab. And so now when I go, just like, you know, we made the tabs, now I have this that I can then flip around and glue on there. And then when we open it, we have that hidden hinge, so we're not seeing it. Okay. And then our last step, I didn't write this note, that I am going to put on here. I'm going to do it here. And I'm going to say closure can be lace. It could be Velcro, or you could even do magnets. Magnets would be the most time intensive, because if you want them hidden, which I usually do hidden magnets, I would put my magnet in between this paper and this paper, and then I would probably, because you'd have to figure out exactly where it's going to join. So for this, I'd probably have it join somewhere in this part so that it goes somewhere in this part. And so again, I would need some kind of backing paper here to be able to hide my magnet there. And so they would clip there. So that one's going to take a lot more kind of finesse to do that. The lace is definitely the easiest. The Velcro takes, you know, it's not a ton of work. I will tell you the trick that I use with Velcro is I have just the little dots that come in packages like this, and I will, you see, I like cut this in half to do this one. You can even cut them in quarters and they'll still catch enough. And I usually put the fuzzy side on the whatever is the top piece, because that's the side that you don't always see. I generally put the clear piece on the bottom, just because I feel like you see that part more. It's totally up to you. I've heard some people say they do the opposite because they don't want this to catch on things. It's totally up to you, but that's just how I do mine. So, yeah. So you can decide how you want to close it, and then you've got your Flippy Flappy tag. So, and again, I think I forgot to say this came from a, I've seen it done a couple of different ways, but the last time that I saw it was from a collaborationonline.arrow that was done recently, that one of the design team members had made it, and I thought that was a really cool idea. So I went with that. So I hope you enjoyed, hope you are making your own, and hopefully if you like these videos, you are subscribing, and leave me a comment. I'd love to hear what you're thinking about not only this tag, but about the series in general. All right, see y'all later.